You know, it's not often we get to say this, but Dan Campbell has a winning record against somebody. Apparently, Aaron Rodgers and Matt LaFleur can't figure out how to beat Detroit in Detroit. We've got a lot to talk about on a Victory Monday, and let's all be fair and honest. Mondays are a whole lot better on a win versus a loss. Let's get into that and a whole lot more in today's Lions Talk Live. Well, greetings and salutations to everybody out there in YouTube land. Thank you for tuning in this Monday, Overaction Monday. I am your host once again, Dan Thornton. This is Lions Talk Live, and we're going to dive into the aftermath of yesterday's nice, unexpected, upset win of a team that absolutely had their back against the wall in Green Bay Packers. The playoffs fading away for the Packers. Let's be fair, everybody expected this to be a game that the Packers come in uber focused. Aaron Rodgers going to put up 400 yards passing and annihilate Detroit. But if you also remember last Friday at Lions Talk Live, we put out a reason why, 5 different reasons why we felt the Lions had a chance to beat the Packers. And I'll be fair, hey, sometimes a broken clock is right twice a day. We were right apparently on all 5 of those factors. And now that Detroit has gotten a victory, it's second in a row at Ford Field against the Pack. Let's talk about what this means, what the players are showing us, what the coaches are saying, all those things, and let's get into it now. Overreaction number 1 might be that the Lions have made it. Everything's, rainbows and sunshines from here going forward. The better days are upon us. Hey, do I think we've got a chance to go into Chicago, potentially, especially if we can stop the mobility of Justin Fields? Hey, we've got an opportunity to do something there. Am I going to say we're going to win? Well, you have to wait till later this week when we put out the prediction video. But the overreaction right off the bat is that everything is going to be better from here on out. Let's focus on this. Does Detroit have an enormous amount of rookies starting on both sides of the ball? Yes, and obviously the majority of them are on defense. But those rookies are clearly starting to develop. They're getting some reps. They're getting some confidence. They're making plays. We talked about it in last Friday's video that KERBY Joseph would be one of the 5 factors we felt that would make the difference against the Green Bay Packers yesterday. And what do you know? Kid had a monster game before leaving early in the 4th quarter. Hopefully he's okay. We'll probably know more today at Dan Campbell's presser. And while Joseph's performance is going to be legendary, the fact you picked off a Hall of Famer twice in your rookie year, this coming off 2 straight games where you forced a fumble in each game. You had a couple more pass breakups this game. The kid, like we talked about last week, he's got coverage skills. He's got hitting power. But one thing he is lacking is experience. He's only really played safety for 1 year in college, and he is a converted wide receiver. You can see it in how he uses his hips, how he switched directions, just a lot of the instincts, and how he uses his hands to break up passes or catch passes. You can see a lot of those remnants of being a former wide receiver translating to him on the defensive side of the ball. He's just going to get better and better with more experience. So let's all, take a deep breath and hope that he is okay. Well, that being said, does that mean he's going to get burned sometimes as a rookie? His lack of experience is going to show up? Absolutely. But for right now, we can all say this. This kid's got a lot of the P word. Potential. Another thought on overreaction is that the linebacker situation in Detroit is now on the upswing. We've got Derek Barnes, who had, without doubt, I feel, the best game of his pro career yesterday. You can see his confidence growing. You can see the fact that Malcolm Rodriguez, even though he didn't play the second half because of that, shot he took on the arm in the first half, you can see him improving. But both the guys have issues when it comes to defending the pass, going out in coverage. And you can see that in our pass coverage is getting lit up time and time again. But they are both becoming more and more firm against the run, filling lanes, holes, and they're getting beat less on play action responsibilities. Do they both need more time to develop? Absolutely. But let's not be mistaken and say that the linebacker situation is solid and all the problems are over. Because I believe while they're both trending upwards, they both got a long ways to go to be, quality NFL linebackers. All right, moving on to some other overreactions. The coaching staff has arrived. I'll say this. Are things trending upwards? And you just heard me badmouth kind of, Ben Johnson, but Ben Johnson will get better. I think he will show promise. The offense will get better, especially if we ever get someone like, Jameson Williams on the field, somebody that we're going to assume based on what he did in college has separation skills, abilities, things you and I, no coach can teach. He's got the athleticism that most people in the NFL do not have. So most people are going to struggle to stay with him one-on-one for very long. So it'll become more difficult for opposing defenses to play man, at least not without putting a second person on him, which means you're going to open up somebody for somebody else. So with that being said, Aaron Glenn has shown a ton of promise and upswing in helping develop the defense of rookies. Still needs to address third and long. Can't keep allowing quarterbacks to run out and get away for 17-yard gains, especially a near 40-year-old quarterback at Aaron Rodgers. But with that being said, is Glenn developing these younger players? Is he making less mistakes that he did just, a year ago or even earlier in this year? Yes. The trend is your friend, and Detroit's very young defense is trending upwards. Are they going to be a top 15 defense by the end of the year? Probably not. But think about this. We address a few things in free agency and or the draft next year, and this team has the definite makings in construction for a very, very sound defense for the foreseeable future beyond this year. So with that being said, Glenn, the trend is his friend, and he is trending upwards. We can also say Dan Campbell has made less and less questionable decisions for the team. Now, yeah, we went for it twice on fourth down. We didn't get them, but I don't think most people are going to disagree with those calls. I mean, the plays were there to be had. The only one I really didn't like was the first fourth down at the goal line on Detroit's opening drive. I mean, Green Bay had one blitzer coming in that wasn't blocked. How that person wasn't accounted for, that I don't know. But are you going to blame Dan Campbell or Ben Johnson? I'm going to leave that up to you. Overreaction. The offense is great. I'm going to say this. I think you're seeing, a couple things unfold here. One, Ben Johnson, I talked about it in the post-game show yesterday. Ben Johnson is showing signs of struggling to progress as an OC. If you watched Micro Mike yesterday, Lions Nation night, a question I threw out at Herman Moore was simply that, why are so many of these pass routes involving two or three guys within a roughly 5-yard radius of each other? To me, and Moore kind of spoke about it, that's probably just a mix-up because you do have a lot of guys that had to play yesterday that came off the practice field or just don't get a lot of reps because they are so beat up, the Lions, in the receiver groups. And obviously a change with Hutchinson. You've got multiple people at different positions getting meaningful minutes, and they're going to have some errors. So Detroit's offense, while great the first 4 games, you can see it's trending down because schematically teams are figuring us out, and we don't have a lot of guys who can really effectively get open. Talk about the offense. Do I think against, below average defenses, our offense is, better than average, even great? Yes, I do. But I think anybody, like we talked about for, I think about a month now on Lions Talk Live, anybody who can play effective man-to-man is going to give us fits because there is nobody, and that included T.J. Hockenson when he was here, that can beat man-to-man coverage one-on-one and win the vast majority of time. For all of St. Brown's greatness, he still struggles to get open against that. He just doesn't have separation ability. Josh Reynolds, who didn't play yesterday, also struggles with that. And all of our other wide receivers at the moment cannot effectively, time and time again, create separation from man principles to get open. Now, the other part of that is Goff. Goff is what he is. I mean, you either like him, you hate him. There doesn't seem to be a lot of people in the middle. But is Goff more effective against people that play zone? Yes. Is he more effective, less effective against teams that come out and play man? Yes. But part of that is he can't thread needles left and right. He's not that kind of quarterback. Talk about the other problem with Goff is he is a static QB. He stays in the pocket, and he cannot really beat you on the run or rolling out of the pocket. It is what it is. It's just not his strengths. It's not something he can do. And he's been in the league long enough where, if that part of him was going to emerge, it probably would have done so by now. So the Lions are stuck with an offense that teams have figured out since New England. Belichick came in, shut us down, and it's a copycat league. Everybody's running the same principles the majority of the time against us. The one thing I will say in Goff's defense yesterday, and if you watched the post-game show yesterday, I wasn't a fan of the fact that Ben Johnson, after Goff took that shot to the head, the first play up, calls a pass play. And we all may lament that Goff threw the pick, but think about this. He was off on that pass about a half a second. He just got his bell rung. Everything is going to be processed in his brain just a little bit slower. So I put that pick, and not the rest of the game, but I put that pick on the OC for not giving Goff a play or two to kind of regain his composure. Another thing I'm going to talk about is the secondary. We talked about it last week in our setup for the Green Bay game, our predictions, and then our 5 reasons why we thought we could beat the Packers. The secondary, we already mentioned KERBY Joseph, but Jerry Jacobs did get some reps. He didn't start, but he was effective out there. Do I think he's going to get better and better as he comes back from ACL repair and gets more game conditioning, gets back in the flow of things? Yeah, he's going to be a difference maker for us. Jeff Okudah, while he made some great plays out there, he forced the fumble that didn't go our way, went out of bounds on the last drive, but he is making plays out there. Is he still great in coverage? No, he's not. It's still my opinion and my hope that by next year they move Joseph and Okudah to safeties, 2 safeties who can cover tight ends and, if asked, from time to time cover receivers. Both of them are physical. Both of them break on the ball well. Both of them play the run very well. Nothing against Tracy Walker. I just don't see him as a playmaker. I think he's been out there for a few years, and I like him. I just don't love him. So I'm going to leave the overreaction video at that. I think we've hit on enough of the topics, but I'm going to say this. The Lions have a real opportunity to go into Chicago this upcoming weekend. If they can shore up a few things on D to contain Justin Fields, and I'm going to put this on the schematic calls of Aaron Glenn and what Dan Campbell is going to talk about with his staff this week. If you can contain Fields and force him to just be a drop back passer, I think you got a chance. But with that being said, we got to see what they come up with. It's going to be imperative for the offense to produce more than what they did yesterday against Green Bay. It's going to be imperative that they get Goff under control, they get healthy at receiver. Swift has got to be out on that field because, Jamal Williams can run the ball for sure. He is not great in the pass-catching game, and that is something that Swift can do. Swift is one of the few playmakers, in my opinion, the offense currently has, and they need him on the field in the worst way possible.